what a performance, my man. Alexander the Great put it on Max Holloway for 5 rounds. And it was said best, I think, by Daniel Cormier, man. He had said that Max Holloway, the closest he came to winning a round was in round 1, and it was all downhill from there. So this is ironic because this is Alexander Volkanovski, who looked sharper than ever, faster than ever, quicker than ever, 2 steps ahead. He was actually talking shit in the cage, man. That's not what Volk does. So he's over there sitting talking. You know this was a real legacy fight for him. He says, I am not going to lose this fight. I'm going to show the world why I am the champion. Because, once again, you come in, you get booed, man. What do you have to do to get the fans on your side? You get booed by the crowd. Holloway, they look at him as the people's champion. But, brother, I mean, this is Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway-esque. This is that level of a beatdown. So before we talk about the greatness of Alexander Volkanovski, which is, we can do that all day, where do we go with Max Holloway? Because I still am in firm agreement that Holloway beats anybody else in the division, just not Volkanovski. So what do you think?
Holloway beats everybody in the division. And Volkanovski, I mean, if he goes up to 155, we need a new champ, don't we? So, I mean, who are they going to put in for that scrap? Oh, man, and it's rough too because Holloway, one of my favorite fighters. Obviously, I was picking for him. This was a rough loss for me to see because Volkanovski absolutely handled the fight. Not even just Max Holloway, but the fight in general. Everything, press, media, like whatever the case is, Volkanovski did his job. But for Max Holloway, where do we go? I think he has to be in that contender talk. I mean, he is the people's champ, solidified now as number 2. Back to that, there's a lot of fighters who get solidified as the second best in the division. But if the number 1 dog leaves, who else is going to step in and fill, the shoes? So I think that's where this goes. I guess it all depends on what Volkanovski wants to do, but that's a weird situation, isn't it? Like my career is in the hands of what the guy that I've lost 3 to. If he stays in, then what am I doing here? Do I shuffle it up? Do I move? Do I do this? So he's kind of in this weird limbo position. We'll see, I guess.
Well, I feel like this is even weirder than the Colby Covington situation, who's clearly number 2 in the welterweight division. It's Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, then everybody else. This one is Volkanovski, Holloway, then everyone else. But before Volkanovski, it was Holloway, then everyone else. So given you already put yourself in that heralded, I'm the real champion, I am the best to do it, I am basically going to be the next or better Jose Aldo, because remember, he beat Aldo twice. So look at how the world works, the circular nature of it, right? Max Holloway beats Jose Aldo twice. He becomes the best featherweight. Nobody can touch him. Volkanovski comes in, beats Holloway 3 times, brother. I mean, that's really the key right there. So they both have 4 title defenses a pop, right? So that's very important. But in the overall GOAT status, you have 3 wins over Holloway. Holloway has no wins over Volkanovski and 2 wins over Jose Aldo. And if I'm not mistaken, brother, when we look at Alexander Volkanovski's record, and let me just pull it up real fast, brother. So when we look at Alexander Volkanovski's record, he also has that win over Jose Aldo, brother. So I'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, look at that win. Jose Aldo, decision win back in 2019. So 3 wins over Holloway and a win over Jose Aldo. Now, here's the question. I'm going to ask you firmly right now. Is Alexander Volkanovski the second best featherweight in UFC existence?
In existence, he has to be, man. He has to be right there. It depends on how many title defenses he's going to have, but he's firmly on the way to being GOAT status in the featherweight division, man. This dude, he's the real deal. And a lot of people, I mean, they even in the Buffalo Wild Wings were watching, and it was like, oh, this short dude's not going to do nothing, man. He's got no reach. He's got no reach. Man, this short dude, this Aussie coming in, or New Zealand, whatever he is, I think he's Australian coming in, man, he is a legit one of the greatest fighters. You can put him in there against a lot of people, even in 155 pounds, and he's gonna be a very, very scrappy, entertaining, wild fighter. And like you said, the more confident he grows, Derek, he was talking shit in the cage. Never, we don't see that going down ever. But sure enough, adds in a couple folds to the game, man.
And listen, bro, I have to say that Alexander Volkanovski is very quick. I'm not saying after this fight, man. There's been a couple of fights now. I think really it was after the Brian Ortega fight. He solidified in my heart, right? I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy who I really enjoy. This is the spirit animal. And the reason why I think it's very representative of what this program stands for, right? This is a dude who says after the fight, hey, don't let anybody, you know what I mean, put you down or whatever, man. Stand up for yourself, man. Everyone was talking all crazy to me. Nobody believed in me. But even on the walkout, he hear all the boos and he's looking in the camera. He's all like, you at home, I can hear you. In his head, he's conjuring up. He's literally David Goggins taking souls in his head while he's fighting Max Holloway. So I'm like, listen, all love for Max Holloway. We know we love this dude. We grew up watching this dude. This dude is a staple. He's still incredible. Like I said, he's beating everybody else. But Volkanovski, man, that's a real champion, a tried and true champion, a blue collar worker. Everything that you want in a champion, that is Alexander Volkanovski. So lastly, AJ, before we get out of here, yes, he hit on that plus 100 decision prop. I thought that was easy call right there between either one. If someone was going to win, I think decision was going to be the best play. But how close were you being like, dang, that plus 350 TKO when you saw that eyebrow split for Holloway? I was like, oh shit, man, he really could get him out of there. How did you think that he was on the verge?
Man, I honestly never thought it. I never thought.
Okay.
I thought Holloway was in the fight. I thought the cut might have made him fight a little bit better, but Volkanovski, man, levels to this game, and the crazy thing is Volk is still growing. Is what's scary about it, man. He's going to be a very dominant champ. Even if he moves up, he'll be very dominant wherever he goes.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, man. For Holloway, the concern never was that he would quit. It's that the doctors would stop it for him. You know, that was a nasty cut.
That's a little more, that was a little more realistic because that gash was big, man, and deep.
Exactly. So the last thing before we get out of here, AJ, you did mention if Alexander Volkanovski moves up to 155, we're going to need a new champion. But he clearly stated, he says, no, I want to keep both divisions busy. He says, I'm not busy enough. The featherweight, they can't keep me busy. So what I want to do is I want to fight at 155 and 145. And maybe, hopefully, he can. If he does that, man, he will surpass even Conor McGregor's status right there. Because Conor, he never defended. You know, and he got the belt and he just kind of ran with it. Went up to 170, got the money, boxing. Holloway, brother. I mean, not Holloway. Volkanovski, brother. That's the guy. But this is the end of a beautiful rivalry, man. And I'm just excited to see who's next, man. So I'm guessing for featherweight, probably Yair next, right? One of those guys, somebody, Brian Ortega or Yair, one of those guys get the right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Yair because Ortega already got the shot. Who else is there? Yair, maybe.
But I think that's who's fighting next. It's the next big featherweight bout. It's Ortega versus Yair in a couple of weeks, man. So the winner of that arguably will get the title shot. Either way, man, it's something to think about. So while you take a look at that, AJ, I'll move on to the next bout.